All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today, let's talk strategy. I promised I was going to cover this formula that I learned from Vivian too. She's, the founder of Your Rich BFF. I love her theory so much. She teaches so much on personal finance, on personal, financial independence and all whatnot. So check her out on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. She's amazing. All right. I learned this formula from her. I've implemented it. I've taught a couple of people and I see it working a whole lot in my own personal life, and I hope you can learn from it and also implement it. All right. It simply spells out STRIP. This is an acronym for saving, total debt, retirement, investment, and planning. All right. So we're going to cover just 2 out of the entire 5 today. All right. In other episodes, I'm going to try to cover all of them. But the first 2 talk about saving and paying off debt, because those 2 are very important when you're trying to strategize or trying to plan long term. All right. To either create financial independence, financial freedom, or financial whatever you're trying to create, live a more comfortable life, you need to master at least the first one, which is saving. One of my great mentors, Ed Milet, says that saving is a habit. It's a skill that you have to learn. Saving is supposed to be part of you, all right? It's not a chore. It's something that you have to incorporate into your routine. Because if you cannot learn how to save when you're making small amounts of money, if you cannot build a habit of saving money when you're making small, you will not be able to save anything when you start making more, all right? Because it has to be a habit. But before we jump into saving, all right, I don't just want to ignore the fact that you need an income in order to save. You need to be making some sort of income, some sort of, some kind of money from a source, regardless of what your source is. In this case, I have a W-2, which is an employee or an entrepreneur or a business owner, a 1099, all right? So you need a source of income, which is where this comes in. So if you're making money working at a job as a nurse, as an engineer in IT, as a doctor, as a banker, whatever, right? When your money comes in, you need to incorporate this. Most of us are in the habit of saving whatever is left. There is this theory of pay yourself first. Most of us spend, when we make money, we spend it and pay ourselves last, which is you save whatever is left at the end of the day. After your bills, after your expenses, after your obligations, before you save whatever is left, which for most of us, unfortunately, nothing is left at the end of the day, which means that you end up with nothing in your savings. So you need to get into the habit of paying yourself first, all right? Make it a priority. It has to be intentional. So when it comes to saving, you need to save for a couple of reasons. Apart from just parking money aside for whatever project or whatever thing you want to do with it, you want to get into the habit of saving because you want to make sure that you have something for a rainy day, for emergencies especially. I recommend that every single person has an emergency fund. An emergency fund comes in very handy when life happens to you, and life happens to a lot of us. When you have that oil change, or you need that emergency to go to the hospital, you need that that thing that you really desperately need immediately. You need money laying around so you can use it for such occasions. And if you don't get into the habit of saving money, then you're always going to be caught off guard when you have emergencies. The reason it's said an emergency fund is because it's supposed to be for emergencies, things you don't plan, things you did not expect. So you need some money sitting around, for occasions like that. And I personally recommend that you put your money in high yield savings accounts. High yield savings account, because these high yield savings account promise to return about 3 to maybe 5%, depending on what institution you are saving your money at. So you're getting 3 to 5% rate of return on your high yield savings account. You're probably doing a way better job than just parking your money at a local brick and mortar company, a bank like your Wells Fargo or JP Morgan Chase or US Bank or Bank of America, because they only return about 0.05 or 0.09%. At this rate, you're not making any returns, all right? Your saving is worthless, in my opinion. So you want to put at least 3 to 6 months of savings aside for an emergency. Your emergency fund, at least for a start, should carry about 3 to 6 months of savings. Now, If you cannot afford to put at least 3 to 6 months of your income aside, start with $1,000. I say this. You can start by saying, okay, I'm going to build a $1,000 emergency fund, $1,000. And then every single month you put aside $50. If you put aside $50 every single month, in a couple of months, you're going to be able to get to your target of $1,000 emergency fund. All right. Don't go extreme. Start small. I'd rather you have something than nothing at all. All right. So if you're going to build $1,000 emergency fund, start small. Start with $50. You'll be amazed at how much $50 compounds over time. All right. How these small efforts get you to your target as fast as possible. Now, when you get to 1,000, it gets easier to get to 5,000, to 10,000. All right, to 20,000, to 30,000, to 50,000. But you have to start small, and don't ignore $20 of savings. It doesn't matter how much you're making. You can squeeze aside $10. Just get into the habit of saving money. $10 a month is something. $20 a month is something. You just want to build that habit of putting aside money in a high yield savings account. I'm going to do another video, with some recommendations of some high yield savings accounts out there. All right. The second thing after you get into the habit of saving is also to pay down debt. Now, most of us are not financially where we need to be, or financially where we're comfortable, because we have a lot of debt, either by default or by design. School loans, car loans, credit cards, you name it. And if you have so much debt holding you down, it's hard to plan for the future. It's hard to even talk about retirement if you have a lot of debt, right? If you have a lot of things holding you down. So how do you start chipping away and paying off that debt, all right, slowly, so that it can liberate some of your money, all right? The earlier you get to it, the better. Stop ignoring it, all right? So I utilize the snowball approach. I don't know if that spelling is right. I utilize I utilize the snowball approach. Basically, what that means is, and I'm going to try to break this down. Now, you can do one of two things. You can either use the first or the second strategy. So you're going to have to list all your debt, all right? It doesn't matter if you have 10 or 15 or 20. List them all in order of the largest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. So you list them from the largest interest rate. Say you have a couple of credit cards and they're charging you 29%. You want to list that first. If the next credit card is charging you 20%, you want to list that second. If the other credit card is charging you 19%, 15%, you have a school loan that charges you 7%, you have a car loan at 4%, all right? You have a mortgage at 3.2%, for example. You want to list all of this down. Then you want to attack, all right? You want to start paying off the largest interest rate first. The loan with the largest interest rate, debt with the largest interest rate, you want to start from there. Doesn't matter if you have a balance of $5,000, all right? Start small. I would pay the minimum payment on all of these and then increase how much I'm paying to this one. Let's say my minimum payment on this is $50. $50 a month, right? I'm going to pay the minimum payments for these, and then maybe I pay $100 to this one. Snowball basically means that when I'm done paying off this largest interest rate, I'm going to move $100 down to this one. Let's say my minimum payment on this second loan is $30. So if I move $100 down here, I'm gonna be paying $130 towards the second loan. That is snowballing, right? You're moving the total down. Let's say that my minimum payment on this 19% is $20. If I move $130 when I'm done paying this second debt down, 130 plus 20, now I'm paying 150. So you see how I keep moving the total amount I was paying down. So it's snowballing to the next debt. This strategy works effectively because you're not going out of your budget, you're not stretching, you just keep recycling the same money you've been using, all right? You use this formula until you get rid of all your debt. The other strategy you could use is you could list your debt in order of amount. Which debt carries the largest deficit, all right? The largest dollar amount. So let's say you have a loan of maybe 20 grand, another 15 grand, another for 10 grand, another for 5 grand, another for $2,000. So you're gonna list them in this order, and you're gonna start paying the least. You want to start paying the least because it's gonna give you small wins really fast. And we're built to celebrate wins, right? If you see something is working, you see results immediately, you want to keep doing the same thing. So because it started with $2,000, it's going to be easy to pay off $2,000 in no time. Now, let's say you finish paying off 2,000. Whatever amount you were paying for this 2,000, let's say you were paying 100, you're going to move it over. The same formula we did here, you're going to move it over to this next one. Let's say you were paying $50 here. If you move 100, now you're paying $150 towards the next debt. When you finish paying off this, then you move it over. You keep snowballing until you attack the last debt, which is the largest. For most of you out there who already have a mortgage, your mortgage is the largest debt you have, which means you're going to put your mortgage last. It would almost be unreasonable to go start wanting to pay your mortgage first off because it's too big. It's about $200, $300, $400, $500,000, $600,000. We don't want to go do that. We want to start with a list, that we have and start paying those things off slowly so we can get to the largest one. I know that's a lot of information, but if you break it down and slow down the video, you're going to be able to grasp everything I just communicated. Now, it gets more interesting because guess what? If you get into the habit of saving money and you succeed to pay off your debt, these two become very, very interesting. These two become very easy because now you've liberated a lot of funds from here. Now you have a lot of money in your hands to plan better for retirement, which we're going to cover next, and to invest your money. The mistake I see a lot of people make that I did for so many years is I started investing way too early because I thought, why am I making money if not to invest? So even though I carried a lot of debt, I was trying to invest. So I skipped the whole formula altogether, all right? I was trying to invest while I had a lot of debt. So that could explain why I was not getting anywhere with my investments because I would try to invest, but I had a lot of money leaving my pocket. So if you can handle all of this, you build a solid foundation in order to build wealth long term, all right? So these two, saving and paying off debt, are the first two from this formula I learned from Vivian too. And I know that if you implement this, it will very well help you get ahead financially. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. I'm going to publish it very, very soon. Thank you. If you like this video, share it, like it, comment. See you on the next one.